The purpose of this screencast lecture is to introduce the rules governing revocation and firm offers. We'll also consider the policy justifications for creating and for limiting irrevocable offers. In our map of the course, this topic relates to contract formation. The rules surrounding irrevocable offers can be pretty confusing because many closely related doctrines involve subtly different requirements. We can use this table to organize our analysis of these rules. For the moment, just note that each row describes one way that parties might be able to create an irrevocable offer. We should start with express option contracts because they are the simplest and because all the other doctrines create an option by other means. I describe in the textbook an example of Amy the vineyard owner considering expansion. She needs to spend a lot of time and money to decide whether a parcel is suitable for vines and whether her plan will be profitable. But she faces the risk that the parcel owner might sell to someone else, and then her investigation costs would be wasted. For this situation, an express option contract is an ideal solution. The parcel owner promises to sell the land for $450,000 at any time in the next 30 days, in exchange for a payment of $200 from Amy. Under this contract, Amy isn't obligated to buy the land. If she decides not to go through with the purchase, then she can simply let the option expire and neither party has any further obligations to the other. But during the next 30 days, she has the option to buy at the specified price. This option thus protects her investment in evaluating the parcel and the market for additional grapes. In addition to protecting her research into this parcel, Amy's also free to investigate other land. If she finds something better, she can buy elsewhere and let the option expire. If she doesn't find anything else suitable, she can't do any worse than $450,000 for the original parcel. But notice that until the option expires, the parcel owner can't sell the land to anyone else. Even if the market suddenly collapses and he wants to liquidate before prices fall farther, he must wait until Amy's option expires. This is why the price of an option increases when it's for a longer time, and when the market for the underlying good is more volatile. Now let's consider an offer of a unilateral contract. In the textbook, I give the example of offering my son Eric $500 to juggle 3 tennis balls 5,000 times. Maybe I figure it'll keep him out of trouble. Eric gets to 4,950, and I yell, "I revoke!" We learn from Maurice Wormser that the traditional common law rule would let me perpetrate this outrage. An offeror could revoke at any time before the offeree completed performance. Wormser and the early common law judges were unhealthfully obsessed with mutuality and symmetry. They fretted that the offeree had no symmetric obligation to complete performance, so how could the offeror be bound? But this is the wrong question entirely. We should ask instead, what default rule would most parties in these circumstances want? In short, what's the majoritarian default for this situation? It's not too difficult to answer this question. Acceptance requires the offeree to complete performance. Few people are likely to attempt to perform without protection for their efforts. As you've read, Restatement Section 45 addresses this problem. The ordinary right to revoke an offer of a unilateral contract continues only until the offeree begins performance. Thus, once Eric starts juggling, my offer is enforceable as an option contract. Like Amy, he's not obligated to complete the deal. But if he successfully gets to 5,000 juggles, then he can enforce my promise to pay $500. I can't revoke while he's attempting to perform. So why is this a good rule? Notice that if no one will be willing to perform, then the offeror's purpose is frustrated. An offer of a unilateral contract is not very valuable to either party if the offeror can revoke while the offeree is performing. So the offeror benefits from being bound to an irrevocable offer after the offeree starts to perform. But, as we've already seen, an option of this sort is valuable, so we need some limits. Once he starts performing, Eric's not bound to finish. Is there any risk that he will behave strategically to keep my offer open as long as possible? Well, he can't really do that, short of tossing the balls higher in the air. So for juggling, each attempt starting at 1 would presumably make the offer irrevocable until the attempt succeeds or fails. But I can surely revoke in between attempts. We can easily imagine a more complicated performance. I offer to pay you $500 to paint my garage. You start the prep work and then go away for a month or two. What now? The doctrinal solution rests on a reasonable time for performance. This is undoubtedly a somewhat vague standard, but at some point I can surely revoke my offer. At least in theory, this rule would prevent a painting contractor from locking up jobs and stringing out performance. But perhaps an even better solution for painting is to construe the offer as an invitation to form a bilateral contract. Starting performance is the acceptance of a bilateral contract, therefore a promise to perform. We find an implied promise to paint and to finish in a reasonable time. Your delay then becomes a breach. We'll take up another type of irrevocable offer in the second part of this lecture.